Welcome to the Bluff City Media pregame show. We are here at the beautiful and delicious High Cotton Brewery. We're sponsored and presented to you by Streetcars of Memphis. It is going to be a fun and filled night completely to the brim. We're going to bring you all the way up to the very beginning of the game, so make sure you stay tuned in here because you don't want to miss this. We have 4 people here with me today. We're going to be with Xavier Dotson in our next segment. Then we're going to hit on Chip Williams. And then we're going to finish up with Christian Fowler, who is with the Tigers. He talks a lot about them, but we're going to hit on some X factors for the Grizzlies. He's a big Grizzlies fan as well. But first, we're going to hit on our main guy, the head honcho of Bluff City Media. He's back.
I wasn't so bad last time. They asked me to come back now.
Yeah, listen, you're our only returning person. Everybody else was fired. Not a big deal. But he's back, the head honcho.
There's only one that I'm in charge, and I'm the only one back. Is that the only common denominator?
I think it's a weird thing that you're back.
It's not that weird. It's weird.
You make the rules. All right, so let's lead off with the first question, and that's going to be simply, what do the Grizzlies have to do to win tonight?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think we have to talk about the fact that we were about to go on air, and someone shouted us that Luke Kennard's officially out, which is a huge blow for the Grizzlies. I mean, he is obviously – we saw it on everything. We saw it. It was painfully obvious in the last game when Dylan went out and Luke came in for that stretch. And Luke and Boehner in that same, also they're working together with Ja. I mean, it was painfully obvious how much better they were on offense, and not that bad on defense. I know that we all scream about how bad Luke is on defense. And he's not great, but they weren't.
He's not bad.
He's not bad. Yeah. And so I think it was really obvious how good he was spacing the floor, and I think that's the key for the Grizzlies because the Lakers are content to just
let him shoot.
Well, the Lakers are content to just stand with one foot in the paint, essentially, with all 5 players, right? Like they basically played like a box and won almost like a college defense. And then I think I tweeted it out the last game. They had at points where they weren't even doubling Ja when Dylan was on the floor. They just had 2 people in front of Ja, and Dylan was on the other side of the floor. And even if you wanted to recover to Dylan, you couldn't. So they were literally resigned to say, you know what, who cares about Dylan Brooks? And I think that is the biggest issue for the Grizzlies.
I agree. That's the biggest thing is because you got to think they don't care about him as a playmaker, and they definitely don't care about him as a shooter. And so what they're doing is pretty much allowing somebody to roam. And realistically, if you look at their defense, they're playing one foot outside the paint in like a zone type defense. It's really just a man zone. Just to simplify it a little bit for some people that might be watching it or might not be as in tune to a little bit of the ins and outs of basketball. But it's pretty much a zone defense that they're just laying off of one guy, and they're face guarding people like Bane and even Ja. They are allowing him to shoot the 3 just because they don't want to get beat on the drive. But tonight is going to be a big key matchups that we're going to see, and we're going to talk with Chip Williams in our third segment about the matchups. And as I talked about with Christian Fowler, we're going to talk about the X factor. But with you, I want to talk about a little bit more of the game in general, the series in general.
Yeah.
6th game. The Grizzlies win this, which I think we all have a lot of confidence because the way they've been playing. Bane went off for 30. Ja went off for 30. How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 in confidence tonight?
Now that Luke is out, I'm not confident at all. I think that, Bane also plays better with Luke out there.
He does.
That's the problem is that they are able to really put the clamps on Ja's drive and then also really Bane's curl play, which he really loves especially off the top of the key. He hates it in the corner, as you and I have talked about, just kind of privately. But I think that I'm not super confident. I think they have to really search and find something, and I don't know what that something is. It's not David Roddy, it's not John Concha. I mean, God forbid, I don't think Zaire Williams is going to come out here and I mean, do we see Zaire Williams in Game 6 in LA? I doubt it.
No.
So I mean, I don't really know. There is no real good answer here. Right. I guess you hope that Dylan has some kind of crazy ass game. I mean, and that's where we're at, right? Truth. That's where we're at, right? Like you hope Dylan, like maybe he goes off and has right. Like, is this just crazy? But a good friend, Fast Break Breakfast, Keith Parrish, great podcast, Grits and Grinds. You should guys listen to it if you're not. He put a tweet out and it was like Dylan's last 2 years of playoffs, and it was like 2 for 12, 3 for 16. Like historically, the last 2 years for him, like nothing is nothing has changed for him. And Dylan's a great player, but as long as he's playing within himself, like you said, for a lot of players. And I don't think Dylan will ever learn what it is, what his role is. Yeah. It's not on this team.
No, his role is not what it currently is.
He's an off the bench sixth-man guy. That's what in reality what his role really is in the NBA. He's not a starter, and I would have loved to see what this series looked like if Luke started and you brought Dillon off the bench and allow him to attack some lesser defenders, some lesser players, and really dribble and drive into the teeth of defense in that mid-range, that elbow area, which is really his sweet spot. I would love to see what that looks like.
Yeah, he could be the energy, the effort, the free flow guy who can. He kind of has the keys to the second unit. That type of a player is really what he could be. But I don't even know during the playoffs if you'd really want him to be that as well. And that's the thing is, I think that's a regular season, I guess, role for him in general. I don't know if he is the guy that is going to help you during the playoffs. Other than if he wants to be a defensive player only. And be a guy who moves with the ball, passes the ball. That's who he has to be. He is not the standstill, stagnant shooter. No. He's not. And so we're hoping tonight that it's going to be more of a Dillon Brooks, less shooting, maybe high efficiency numbers. I mean, we've never gotten that.
He's never going to be that. I mean, we're wishing for something that's never going to come true. Like we can all and hope and wish, and then shit in one hand, whatever the saying is, and one's going to come true and one's not. So. Dillon Brooks is just not that guy, but he's going to have to shoot the ball. Unfortunately, tonight he's going to, especially if Luke's not there, you're missing at least 10 shots or so
at least
that they're going to have to make up for. Obviously Dillon and Ja Bang going to probably play for 40 minutes, I would assume. John Concha's going to get more minutes. We saw that in the last game. He was specifically inserted in over David Roddy because there's rebounding. Jenkins even said that in the post game. So I think we'd probably see more of that as well. Not that he's a shooter. I mean, the problem with John Concha is he didn't shoot the ball.
Yeah.
So Dillon's gonna have to shoot the ball, unfortunately, and we're gonna have to just all hope and pray that we all just have to kind of get together and hope and pray they go in.
Yeah. Tonight, me and my buddies made an actual method of first basket. We all went on Dillon Brooks, and so it's going to be a fun time. So. We're hoping for a Dillon Brooks dunk for the first possession, for the first score for the game, because that does net you on a $5 bet, big money, $1,200. So I'm hoping for $500 to $1,200. I'm not going to be against that. Let's talk a little bit about the Lakers supporting cast. Obviously, we know that LeBron and AD are going to be their guys.
Yeah.
They have been a better team when Rui Hachimura has played well, when really – D'Lo has played well. D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves has played well. The rest of the team, they're okay. They're role players. How important is it for them to have one of those players play well, if not two of those players to play well? Because I think without that, you're depending on an aging superstar in LeBron, who's 38 now, back-to-back, pretty much with a day of rest. These games are piling up. How important is it to have one of those guys for the Lakers step up?
Well, I mean, I think we've seen Austin Reeves have pretty consistent games. I mean, he is. I think we actually joked about this in our Discord. And if you're not on our Discord, by the way, short promo. If you're not an insider for Bluff City NIL insiders, go join. $5 only. Anyway, we joked about this in our Discord. Is that he's kind of like a Luke Kennard. Austin Reeves, he shoots the ball really well. I mean, how's that? I think he is elevated his status and foul getter.
The foul getter.
He's
a flopper.
He's absolutely flopper.
He's a flopper.
You're not really worried about Jared Vanderbilt. I think we saw that they literally schemed for Jared Vanderbilt and just kind of they did what they did to Dillon Brooks. The Lakers did, and just kind of let him shoot the ball. So I think what you're probably really looking at and keying on is D'Lo and Austin Reeves. Though I think really Hachimura. Obviously he's a guy, if he gets hot, you want to be able to have some flexibility and shift those guys around. I think that's kind of what's going to, for the Grizzlies defensively, if you see that happening, you're going to have the flexibility to shift those guys around, which is, I think, why we saw Xavier Tillman guard LeBron more. While we've seen that way Dillon can kind of roam and kind of be able to be assigned to different people, which I think is smart. We also saw Dillon Brooks guard AD as well, which is wild. It also, spoiler alert, did not work.
It didn't.
But I think, the Lakers are going to have another game for Rui Hachimura, I think, to really elevate themselves. And again, D'Lo can get hot. I mean, he's a good shooter. And I think I will say, I think that a lot of Grizzlies fans undervalue how good he is. And he is extremely good on the ball. extremely good, like walking into shots, into 3-point shots. And so, we saw that a couple, 2 games ago where he just walked in a couple threes in a row. I mean, he just letting this guy walk into him. So the Grizzlies are going to have to, their defensive scheme is to protect the paint. They're going to just, and it has worked for the most part all season. But it's a little bit, you have to just, that type of defensive scheme, you have to try to be able to adjust. But the Lakers, to be able to be good, I think you're looking at, if I put my money on, I'm looking at D'Lo and Austin Reeves. I'm having a probably pretty big game, especially Austin Reeves, young kid can probably keep going. Yep. I keep asking myself, you keep saying Austin Reeves he's never been in the playoffs before. Right. First time ever at Game 6. Surely he will crumble, and to his credit, he has not. Yeah, he has come up in a lot of big moments for them, and so Austin Reeves is a good player. I mean, like there's just like, I know people like to shit on Austin Reeves, and I do too, like because he flops and he's kind of wild out there, but he's a good player. He can shoot the ball really well, and so you really have to watch out for him. And then D'Lo can get hot. He's a guy that is, I think, probably not been utilized. Does not have as many big games as we have probably seen, but he can shoot the ball still.
Yeah, and they can. That's the thing, is you're talking about role players playing at home. They're going to play better, you would think, but it all depends on how this game really goes. I expect to see good efforts out of Bane and Ja, as well as AD and LeBron. I would say if I had to put my money on 4 players to put out great games, yes. Yeah. I think it's important to see who steps up. We have Jaren Jackson Jr. is the 5th best player on the court at minimum. He probably is a little bit better. He's shown he's better. In this series, he's been probably the 5th best player. And honestly, you could probably put him down the list a little bit just to how he's played. So
I will say, if you get the Ja and Bane we've seen the past couple of games, especially the Ja was the last game, and you get Jaren from game 1, and that is really tough to beat. I mean, Jaren from game 1 was literally all over the place. There wasn't a play I feel like he was not involved in at times at certain stretches on the floor defensively, and he was massive offensively as well. And we really have not seen that since. Yeah, we haven't. We haven't really seen a dominant Jaren game, and so you really kind of hope if you can get that from Jaren, then I think all bets are off. You got a really, really good shot of winning the games. Obviously, I know that's an obvious thing. If 3 of your best players all play really well, you're gonna have a good shot. I know that's exactly hashtag analysis, but that's just what it boils down to in the playoffs. I know that's just really the reality of it, is that when you get the playoffs, the rotation shortened and your best players have to be good. Yep. Your superstars have to be great. And so you really have to lean on those guys. And so if Jaren has to be what he was from game 1. And I think they have a really, really good shot. And I don't even think it's like they're going to win. I think they got a good shot if they get all that. Right.
I do think. All right. I got 2 things for you before we get out of here. We got about 2 or 3 minutes left. 2 things. First thing, we're putting together a parlay that we're going to put out with Bluff City Bets. So stay tuned. I'm going to ask every single interviewee that I have here. We're going to ask them what their favorite play would be of the game. So if you had to bet on some player to hit a certain number, points, rebounds, assists, whatever, if somebody is going to do this line tonight, we're going to put it all together and see what we come up with tonight. Who are you putting your money on?
Well, I already have money on Ja plus 8 assists. Okay. So I don't know. That's tough with him sometimes. You just don't really ever know. He gets there, but doesn't get there every game. That's actually a pretty good line, by the way, as a Bluff City Bets. I'd either go Ja plus 8 assists, or I'm going like Desmond plus 25.
Which one? Pick on the spot. This is
I'm gonna go Ja plus 8 assists. All right, because I already made that bet.
Right, so you're sticking with it.
I already wanted to hit anyway. So
I like it. All right, last question. We asked you this last time. Expectations about Game 6. Last time you were way under on the number. So Game 6 out in LA. What do you got?
What was the last game, like 113 out here? It was like 113 to 104, 101, something 101. Like that. I'll go just because I want to be a homer, even though I'm not confident about this game at all. This confidence in this pick is so low, but I want to be a homer. I'll go 108, 101 Grizzlies.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna go super high this time. I mean, I was super low last time.
That's not that high.
Well, I mean, it's. I mean, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I meant super like point margin.
Right.
It's whatever, a 6-7 point game, which I don't think it'll be. I will be shocked if this game's a blowout. I really will. 100%. Like I think that we're going to look at it up and just like, this is another game where we're doing, 1 or 2 points. So hopefully it'll be a good one. That's all you can ask for. If it's a good game, that's great. But I know nobody wants the season in just yet. So.
Right. No, we need to do this. Keep doing this. This has been so much fun. The Grizzlies can find a way to get it to a game 7. That's going to be pivotal for this team. Honestly, for the franchise going forward. You're talking about a game 7 at the Grindhouse would be huge.
I will say this. If they win tonight, I have full faith they win game 7, because if you win, I think you figured something out. If you win without Luke Kennard, I think you probably figured something out against the Lakers. I think you win tonight, you win game 7.
And I think the Grizzlies would get back a guy in Luke who has a stinger and he's not playing tonight. I think you get him back in game 7 because you get an extra 2 days rest for a guy that really, it's big, but it's not huge. So, all right, well, stay tuned with us. We got next coming up is Xavier Dotson. We're going to hit on a little bit of the social media stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. But one shout I'm going to give out to my girls, Margot and Penelope. Go to bed, but hello. City Media pregame show. You survived for one segment. We got 3 more left. Obviously, we have a new friend here with us. We have Xavier Dotson. Xavier, we got to put you on the spot right away. What do you do for Bluff City Media? Because we see your videos. So why? What did that come up with? What do you do for us? Like, give us a little bit of spiel about you.
Yeah, what's good, y'all? I'm Xavier with Bluff City Media. If you've been keeping up with the Bluff City Media social media pages, especially for the Instagram pages, I'm doing the recaps, videos, there's fun segments. I'm doing X's and O's. I'm trying to tune everybody in to a fun, easy way to break down the basketball game. Even though if you missed the game, we're trying to make it fun, simple for a lot of people who don't watch it in detail to break it down and understand the game. Grizzlies and Tigers.
Yeah. So you do both sports?
Yeah.
Or both teams, I guess.
Yeah, Grizzlies, Tigers. We'll see this offseason. I think I'm thinking about catching the showboats.
Okay.
I am interested in football, so we'll see about that.
If you had to pick one, Tigers, Grizzlies, is there one that you put over the other, as in like your fanship, like your total love of?
It will most definitely be the Grizzlies.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been a Grizzlies fan for a lot longer. Oh, well, I'm not going to say like a Grizzlies fan a lot longer. I've been rooting for the Grizzlies and the Tigers the longest. I know my shirt right here says Chattanooga, but I'm born and raised here in Memphis. I've always been, Grizzlies, Tigers fan, supporter. I got into, helping Bluff City Media with the Tigers, with the Reels a little too late. I started basically once they reached the AAC tournament and, that one little tournament game.
Right.
But for the most part, I got great knowledge on both teams, going even back to their histories and when they was playing inside the pyramid. And things like that.
The Tomb of Doom.
yeah.
All right, so that was a little bit of, thank you for that. I feel like it's always good to introduce us to the people. And most people know me enough now. I'm on the camera and they kind of probably annoyed, we'll say. But you put out the videos. Where did the idea come from, the videos? Because you've been doing these videos and you're cutting them, you're putting them out, and you have a good follower, good followership from everybody. So where did the idea come from? Because they're great.
Yeah. So initially, I have my own personal TikTok page.
Okay.
I
shout it out, man. We're here.
Yeah, you follow me on TikTok at _XZA. I do a lot more basketball analysis, non-biased, all over NBA type content. But yeah, I started off basically just making content there, doing recaps of basketball games, breaking it down more in a detailed way. You see a lot of guys, of course, like barbershop talk. They be like, oh, right. Well, LeBron this, LeBron that. Yeah. Well, I'm not just trying to cover the main stars. I'm trying to cover, the players that work hard, how he scored, like what little details and everything that goes into playing great basketball in the NBA. So that's where I started. And it was basically trial and error. I gained a huge followership on TikTok. If you check my TikTok, I got over like 11K followers on there. And so, and I've gained traction from a lot of other content creators, and they've been giving me pointers of okay, how to make your content a lot better. And so since from there, I've been working and grinding, and it's been paying off big time.
The grind is real, man. Like in the community, the TikTok community, the content creator community, it is a family. It's a community. It's great, but also just like Grizzlies, Grizzlies Twitter, Grizzlies, content makers, Bluff City Media. The family is always very intertwined. That's kind of what Memphis is, right? In general. All right, so let's go through a little bit of social media because it's been. If I had to give you a 1 to 10, we'll rate it. Last year, I felt like we got 10 out of 10 from the Minnesota series, which I feel like it was better than I expected on social media, just from mainly Twitter. But then the Grizzlies and then the Warriors, that was obviously probably 11 out of 10. But if you had to rank right now, because there's LeBron is awesome, he's amazing. Then you talk about the Lakers out in Los Angeles, but it just seems like I haven't got involved as much. Is it quiet to you right now? Because I feel like it's a little bit more damper than it should be.
Well, it's a lot of storylines behind this series right now. Yep. You got the Dylan Brooks drama, even going into before the postseason with Shannon Sharp's situation. And then, of course, we know after the Game 2 victory, he had to run his mouth. So it's a lot of fans right now that just, have basically a shirt in their mouth trying to not talk as much because basically if you talk that talk, you got to be able to back it up. Right. But at the same time, though, I still feel like there's a lot of Grizzlies fans that's been pretty active, especially on Twitter. We see it right now on Twitter. Everybody's got the Photoshop profile picture with Ja Morant Photoshop of the LeBron James when he was down in 2016 saying nobody has ever came back from a 3-1 deficit in the finals. Well, we're looking at right now. Hopefully, I still believe that the Grizzlies can come back in 7. I'm hoping all the viewers are watching this and listening to this.
You do too.
we coming back for 7 games, y'all. Right. But I still feel like they're pretty active. It's big supportive groups here in Memphis, man. And I'm glad. That's just one big thing I love about Memphis is we really take care and value our community of great basketball here in Memphis. Yeah. Whether if it's bad, whether it's good, it's been a lot of battles and adversities that has gone through for this Memphis team this year. So I can understand a lot of people has been pretty quiet about, okay, maybe I should talk a little bit about this and that for the Memphis Grizzlies, but it's still a big community out there that's really advocating for the Grizzlies right now.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, the fanship, the Grizzlies Twitter part of it, I feel like is still there. It's still pretty hungry. But I haven't seen the hate from Los Angeles Lakers fan as much as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a 9 or 10 out of 10. I feel like it's like a 6.
Yeah, no, I will agree with you on that. Because last year, Minnesota fans was pretty
nasty. Were rough.
And of course, out there in the Bay, they like to run their mouth too. But LA, you have seen a little hate. But compared to, last year's series, of course not. Now, Shannon Sharp, if he goes on TV, if he goes with Skip Bayless, because he actually got Skip on his side right now, talking about LeBron need to go ahead and take care of us.
Yep.
But if Shannon Sharp goes on there and get everybody riled up and, with the pitchfork saying, bash the Grizzlies right now, bash the Grizzlies fanship, man, it'll be a whole different thing. But if the Grizzlies get a win tonight, I really feel like, we're going to be seeing some Lakers fans in our comments soon.
Yeah, I think they're nervous. Like, it's like a nervous energy. Like, the Grizzlies have played well outside of the first quarter, which, go back to the other watch party that we had. They scored 9 points. We're going to triple that this one.
Yeah, of course,
we're going to do at least triple that. But if you look back at then the Grizzlies have played well. Probably for the last 7 quarters, the Grizzlies have played really good basketball. Now they took the loss out in L.A., came back home and won Game 5. So the Grizzlies playing well. Desmond Bane is obviously playing well right now, and Ja's kind of turned it up. They both went for 30. They both had 10 rebounds, and I think it was like 6 or 8 assists for each one. And so we're getting to that point, and I think the Lakers, they see that the longer the series goes, the more nervous they are because the travel is a little weird. So I think it's a nervous energy, but I'm excited for just the game in general because I think that social media always picks it up a little bit. Game 6, huge. Like, this is obviously a deal breaker. I think it could be big. But let's get into a little bit more of the videos that you make. So a lot of times you're going out into, let's say, in front of the FedEx Forum, but also around with fans, wherever it might be. And you always ask them, have you ever had a funny or special moment with the opposing fans? Like, because do you ever interview them?
See, I've never had the opportunity to do that. I just started doing that probably like last month. That's been a new segment of mine. Unfortunately, I waited a little too late for the season to end, but I really do want to be able to talk and experience and have the chit chat to different and numerous fans, especially on the outside, because I'm a huge NBA fan in general, not just Grizzlies. So I know about their history and whatnot, and I love to challenge them and see what's their knowledge about their specific favorite team. Yeah. And whatnot, but I haven't had the opportunity to be able to talk to other fans. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe we might have a sporadic Laker fan in here tonight. We can see if I'm able to interview them. But besides that, it's been pretty much Grizzlies fans. Okay. Yeah.
So Grizzlies moment that was maybe the funniest for you, because there's got to be, obviously, you asking questions just like, I didn't expect to get that answer.
Well, yeah. The last interview I had with Gabe, I had asked him basically, what would you rather do? Would you rather take a charge from David Roddy or be posterized from Ja Morant? He really feel like that he's able to take a charge from David Roddy. Yeah. I put in that clip of Zubac being dunked on by David Roddy. Zubac is a 7-footer and he's 240. Yeah. Now, I know Gabe, he's a pretty big dude as well, but man, David Roddy, that's a big body right there.
Yeah. So I would have probably chose the same thing. Okay. I listen, I don't want to be humiliated. I would rather take the charge in the chest and just wear it than have to wear the humility and my pride being gone because Ja just dunked all on my face.
Man, it's a hard decision to make, but at the same time, though, you take that charge from Roddy, you might be hurting for the next
forever.
Maybe a week. Yeah.
You might be right on that one. I might have to rethink my ideas. But all right, 2 questions. We're going to get you out of here again a couple minutes. The first question is going to be, we're putting a parlay together for Bluff City Bets. So I want to know, is there one player or a stat or something that you're looking at, like, all right, I know that this guy's going to go off and he's going to do this. We're going to put it together. We're going to win some money tonight. Anybody that you're targeting in general?
I got to go with our star player, Ja Morant. It's a big time game, so he's going to show up, and I feel like he's going to at least score 25 points. Okay. Over 25 points, most certainly. Man, he's going to show up. We didn't have him last game 6, and when we played against the Warriors, I feel like he's hungry. He wants this back in game 7, wants the series to continue. So I'm really feeling like it should be, I wouldn't say easy, but it's a guaranteed 25 from Ja Morant.
I like it. He scored 31 last game?
Yeah.
31 last game.
Yeah.
I really like that. 25 is very doable for Ja.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that is most doable. Yeah. He should be able to attack the paint. Hopefully that 3-point shot will be falling. And I feel like it's just going to be a lot of usage in his hands. Yeah. He's the point guard.
Well, I will tell you, I don't know if you heard, but Mark actually came on and said he thinks Ja 8 assists. So we're now 2 on Ja for the parlay. So they actually do not know what each other are saying or doing. And so this is all just kind of on a whim. But last question before we get you out of here. What's your expectations for game 6? I want to know who's winning and what's the score.
Yeah, so it's going to be emotional, very close game 6. I feel like this is going to go down to the wire, but I'm still rooting for the Grizzlies. Like I said, I had the Grizzlies in 7. I feel like this will go down to a close game, especially in that fourth quarter. I most likely will have the Grizzlies winning this at least 107 to 102. Yeah, wow. Grizzlies on top.
All right, well, now that's 2 for the Grizzlies. I wouldn't expect anything less, right? So Mark just did 108. So you're doing a 107. So we're right next to each other on that. I think he's 101, 108, 101. So you're 107, 102?
Yeah, 107, 102.
How confident on a scale of 1 to 10 are you in the Grizzlies tonight?
Man, I'm going to be honest. That news that just hit recently, probably 15 minutes ago, Luke Kennard not being able to suit up tonight, man, that's a bummer. But I'm actually feeling optimistic about a good Dillon game tonight. Wow. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I got a 7.5 of how confident I am.
All right, so Dillon Brooks, and we're just going to keep going. We haven't been told to leave yet. Dillon Brooks, do you think, what kind of stat line would he put out tonight? Because I'm nervous, but I also see that his points are at 11.5 as predicted by MGM or whoever the Vegas odds are.
Yeah, everybody's been betting the under in the past few games on Dillon Brooks points. But man, I think Dillon understands that this is a big magnitude of a game. I feel like he's going to perform. I feel like at least he should at least reach double digits, at least a 15-point game for Dillon.
Wow.
Yeah.
15 points. Listen, I think at 20 points, I saw it was like plus 700 online. So 15, I imagine it's like plus 300. We're going to make some money tonight on Dillon. I just imagine. So, all right, that's all we have, Xavier. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Next, we have Chip Williams coming in here, and we're going to break down a lot of the matchups and actually discuss a little bit more of the game and break all that down and kind of see how the Grizzlies can find their edge. So make sure you stay tuned. We got Chip Williams coming up next. To the Bluff City Media pregame show. We are now the third segment in, and we have our guy Chip Williams here. He is our draft expert. We're going to call him an expert because he's pretty much a smart guy. All right, so Chip, we're going to go with you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself because the people don't know you. We got to find out a little bit more about you.
Yeah. So I've been writing about the NBA draft for several years now. Honestly, I've been a huge fan of the NBA draft since I was probably like 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
Trying to place players who I thought was good and all that. So pretty much as soon as the Grizzlies got to Memphis, I was incredibly interested in how they could improve their roster.
We needed it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so funny because for years I felt like I could draft better than Chris Wallace.
We all did.
And now it's like I agree with every pick the Grizzlies make because I love Zach Kleiman, But no, I wrote for Grizzly Bear Blues back in the day when it was still at SB Nation. And then Parker and Mark asked me if I wanted to come back and do some draft and Grizz guys. So I'm fired up to be back here, man.
I like it. All right, so we're going to go with some draft questions first. And I don't think I even told you about this, but we're going to go draft questions first. Is there players in this upcoming draft? Because I think we all are always looking for that next best player. Is there somebody that looks like a Grizzly to you? Like there's always that guy.
Okay, so I think it would be very difficult for the Grizzlies to get up high enough to get this player. But if there was a guy that looked like a Grizzlies player, it would be Anthony Black from Arkansas. 6'6", 6'7", kind of plays point guard, to be honest with you, but the best defender in this draft. He radiates Grizzly vibes. He's got an incredible head of hair on him.
The hair is great.
Yeah, it's incredible. So that would be my guy. If the Grizzlies were looking to trade up, he started to slip maybe back half of the lottery, just past the lottery, I'd be looking hard to go get him.
All right, so obviously I didn't expect to go into this much draft stuff. I love the draft as well.
Good.
Shout out to Ryan, who he was with us when we came over to Bluff City. Bluff City Media. And so he loves the draft, and I have now grown to love the draft because of him. But the Grizzlies now have multiple picks where they possibly could try to use that to move up into the draft a little bit. Is that a player that it's worth moving up for?
See, I feel like with him, it's a really strong possibility he's going to end up being a top 5 guy.
Wow. Okay.
Top 10 guy.
Okay, still, that's pretty high.
It's high. So they'd have to move up. Another one is Julian Strother from Gonzaga.
Okay.
Classic, like 6'7", 6'8", 3-and-D guy that's going to be more in the 20s range. So that's one where you could maybe jump a team or two and go get your guy. And he's, classic, like, high analytics guy, really good shooter, and that's kind of what Kleiman tends to gravitate towards in the draft. So
more about that, because I think that's important. When you're looking at how do I figure out a way to find out who the Grizzlies are going after, what are they? Obviously, you just talked about that a lot, but what are exactly are you like? All right, I know they're going after this type of a player. Is it size? Is it shooting? Whatever it is. What do you think?
It's interesting. I think that they look for a couple things. One, just good basketball players. I know that seems silly, but like you look at like Desmond Bane, Xavier Tillman, Brandon Clark. These guys were excellent college basketball players that just slipped a little bit further in the draft, right? And so I think at some level they're saying, hey, if you can produce in a big time conference this highly, then you can come in the NBA and at least contribute,
Exactly.
But I think you got to look at like a high box plus minus, those all-encompassing stats, right? They're usually pretty high.
Yeah.
And then the one indicator too is steal percentage for them. 2.5 steal percentage is kind of their baseline there, right? So that's kind of like when you go on some of these, college basketball websites and you're seeing like, you can throw the filters on there. Hey, give me every player that hits these statistical thresholds. You usually can put the right statistical thresholds on there to find like, all right, the Grizzlies are drafting one of these 6 guys,
Awesome.
And then, they threw us the curveball with Zaire because he took all that, threw it out the window, but that's obviously higher than they've picked in any other draft aside from Ja Morant.
I think he was more of a potential pick.
That's right.
We all love Zaire. He hasn't produced this year. It's probably a head case. You can't ever look past that. The mental stuff is always a big thing as well. So
absolutely,
we got to get past that a little bit. I think Zaire will be fine. I think he might need an off season.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Was it Italy where he was? He went with Santi?
Spain, I think. I don't know.
It might have been Spain.
Spain's from Santi's from Spain. I don't know. They're somewhere in Europe,
The Santiago.
Stay in America, I guess. It didn't work, whatever it was. It worked for Santi. Maybe he should keep doing it,
Exactly. Yeah, don't go over there anymore. You stay back here.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get to more of the matchups now. So I love the AD matchup with whether it is for Xavier Tillman or Jaren Jackson Jr., and that was the main one I want to hit on. And I talked to you, and you said that's the main one I want to hit on. So let's hit on that. We'll take it as long as we can on that, and then I'll kind of go from there. So Xavier Tillman and how he's handled Anthony Davis. Anything you got on that?
Yeah. So what's interesting with X is, like, I remember him at Michigan State. And I remember thinking, okay, this guy is clearly the strongest player in the Big Ten. And the Big Ten is like a corn-fed conference. You know, like you see some big, strong guys.
So muscle is strong.
That's exactly right. And you've got Xavier Tillman just moving guys out of the way. And so what he lacks in size, he makes up for with a 7'2" wingspan, and then his just kind of superhuman strength.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the guy, he's built really well, you know.
It's a brick house.
Yes. I've always just thought it'd be amazing if we could throw Steven Adams and Xavier Tillman out for just like 5 minutes and watch them box out the other 5 players.
I was thinking of a helmet and shoulder pads. That's what I was thinking of.
No, it'd be the best.
And let them play basketball.
I love it.
Try to figure it out. Nobody's scoring, which is fine.
That's exactly right. But what I've liked about X is that, you know, Anthony Davis clearly has 5-6 inches on him comfortably.
Yes.
But he is pushing Anthony Davis off his spots. Davis is a pretty strong guy. You can see that he's bulked up over his career, but he's still not to that point where Tillman has that leverage on him and then has the requisite length to bother his shot. Because Anthony Davis is so good, you know, at making those 15-footers if he needs to. And then on the other end, he's got a really crafty kind of old man style game, and he's been effective at several of these games, just coming up with timely buckets, you know. And so on that offensive end, like, you know, you would think Anthony Davis, pretty clear advantage there, but Tillman, you know, he's one of those guys that he's never going to shoot you out of a game or anything. Right. He's going to pick his spots the appropriate moment, and he's going to usually capitalize and do well for you.
I agree. All right, so I wish I had a notepad down here right now because I was actually in my brain trying to put it all back so I can make sure I made sure to ask the questions. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
First one is, do you expect that Xavier Tillman could do a better job of scoring in this game, but also is there a way for him to do a better job of scoring? Because I think they're leaving him open. He had that big 22-point game, but he's obviously not looking to be a scorer. How do you think he could benefit from that? Because I think he's being the odd man out, and he could be the role player that goes off in this game to help give you those extra 5, 10, 12 points to really put you over the edge.
Yeah, that's right. I think he does a pretty good job of kind of just hanging out at that dunker spot, you know? And so if, let's say they put Anthony Davis on him, right? What AD wants to do is he wants to help off Tillman and stop guys from going into the paint, right? Like he's shot blocker. He's blocking 4 or 5 shots, it seems like, every single game in this series. So what the Grizzlies have to do a good job of is when you get to the paint and Davis comes to meet you, look for a quick dump off to Xavier Tillman because he's a really good finisher around the rim. I think he shot like a 63 true shooting percentage this year. Very effective scorer without the ball, and he just needs to be ready. I mean, he needs to be ready because they're going to help off him, because I'm sure if I'm sitting in the Lakers locker room thinking, hey, if Tillman beats us, he beats us, you know?
You got to give it up.
Right.
All right, my other question I'm going to do away with because we have like limited minutes. Okay. So we have like 2 minutes left. So 2 minutes, I got to know who is the guy that you're targeting tonight. If you had to pick somebody to have a stat game of the night, you're like, hey, he's going to score this number. We're going to put it out with Bluff City Bets. Who is that guy?
So it's a little bit of a hope here. But we're going to go Dylan Brooks over 11.5 points. Okay. He's had a miserable series, and I think this is the game where Dylan makes some shots and he scores maybe 15, 16 points.
Wow.
And pushes us over.
All right, so now we're on the Dylan train. All right, last question. You got to give us your prediction. I want to know who's winning and what the score is.
Okay, so I'm going to take the Grizzlies to win. I'm going to go 101-99 because every game the Grizzlies have won this series, they've held the Lakers under 100 points. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a dogfight all the way up until the end. And we'll say, how about this? LeBron misses the last second layup and the Grizzlies win. We'll do the opposite of Game 4.
So he's getting a shot at a layup. That's not good. I don't want that from my heart.
No, Jaren. We'll say Jaren blocks it. How about that? There we go.
We like that. My favorite bet of this whole thing will be that it's hitting every single game. It's AD 2 blocks and then LeBron 1 block. Parlay that. That is minus 115. That's going to be a little bit from the Discord. Put that out. So that's all we have. We're going to go ahead and go to our last segment. That's going to be with Christian Fowler. But real quick, this is all been presented by Streetcars of Memphis. What they do is they provide auto customizations, whatever, anything on the car, they can customize it. So make sure if you want any kind of a lift kit or anything at all, if you're a car person, make sure you go check out the Streetcars of Memphis. But we'll be back here with Christian Fowler next. All right, we are back with the last segment of the pregame show here at Bluff City Media. We're going to bring you all the way up to the very tip, so make sure you stay tuned with us. But we have Christian Fowler here with us. We're going to get into a little bit about Tigers. No, I'm kidding. We're going to get into the Grizzlies stuff. We're going to hit on a little bit of the X factors and who is the guy or guys to watch in this. But first, I want to hear a little bit about you. You have the podcast with On the Bluff, which is with Gabe Kuhn. Comes out every Tuesday at noon. Yep. So obviously it's pre-recorded, but they put it out right every Tuesday at noon. So a little bit about that.
Yeah, so me and Gabe Kuhn, Bluff City Media and 92.9, we do the podcast together every week. As Daniel mentioned, comes out Tuesday at noon. So, yeah, I'm usually a Tigers guy, but excited to talk a little bit of Grizzlies before the game tonight.
All right, so if you are a Tigers fan, obviously you know who you are. Everybody out there does. But now Grizzlies, if you are a Tigers fan, you've been missing out, right? You're missing out on with Gabe Kuhn, who's now at 92.9, which has been a big promotion there. But y'all show is obviously very good. We have the studio now, which has been awesome. Let's get into the Grizzlies stuff.
Let's do it.
The X factor of tonight's game. If you had to come up with just one, we'll get into more, but one X factor of tonight's game.
Just one, and this is tough because I'm personally not the biggest fan, but you got to go Dylan Brooks here. And that's probably an unpopular opinion because you got Ja, you got Jaren, Xavier Tillman's played well throughout the series. But with Luke Kennard out, the spacing that the Grizzlies need to be successful with Desmond Bane, with Ja Morant getting to the basket, you got to have Dylan Brooks play well offensively. To me, that is the key, and that's a tough key to rely on in the biggest game of the year, win or go home game.
Right.
But Dylan Brooks has to play well on the offensive end of the floor, in my opinion, for the Grizzlies to win.
Wow. All right, so you're saying that this Game 6, this season is coming down to Dylan Brooks.
It could be. It could be. I know that probably doesn't inspire a ton of hope, but
I hate that from my heart, but I believe you. And I'm on the same thing because if Dylan can find a way to not hurt us, he was at -6, I think, in the last game. We're losing a guy who played 19 minutes and was a positive 26.
Right.
That is the biggest thing we're losing is we need a guy who's a facilitator, a guy that moves the ball. Any other X factors that you're looking at on the Lakers side? Anybody that you're saying like, hey, if he's playing well, we might be actually screwed?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis is the obvious, but just to go a little bit off of the normal track, Rui Hachimura. I mean, the way that he's kind of been up and down throughout the series, had really good spike games, especially in Game 1. Hasn't played as well of late.
Yeah.
But when he played well in the Game 1, we saw how difficult it was for the Grizzlies to stop Anthony Davis and Hachimura down low. So if he plays well for the Lakers, the Grizzlies are going to have trouble. We've seen what they've done in the front court. They've struggled without Steven Adams and Brandon Clark. And so if both of their bigs are playing well, both of the Lakers' bigs are playing well, the Grizzlies are probably going to struggle defensively.
Yeah, I agree with that because Rui is a guy that makes Jaren kind of keep him, honest a little bit. Right. He can't be the free float guy. Like we've seen that Jared Vanderbilt, they'll leave him open and let him shoot. Like, do your thing. You're not going to beat us. Yeah. We know that. Rui has shown that he can go over 20-plus points. He did that in the first 3 games. The last 2 games been held under 10.
Yeah.
And so that is a big key factor in this, and I think that's the biggest thing. If they want to win, they have to have Rui play well. Austin Reeves is going to play fine. I think AD and LeBron are going to have their big games. They're going to be fine. They're going to do enough to play winning basketball.
Right.
I think I agree with both of yours, unfortunately. I have no way to come back. Anybody else that you're looking at tonight, you're like, hey, I'm interested in seeing this matchup or them as an X factor in this game because it could be big.
Yeah, I say Tyus Jones.
Oh, yeah.
And same thing. He's not a guy that's performed extremely well in this round of the playoffs, but we know how good he is with the ball in his hands. We know that he doesn't turn the ball over. He's a great facilitator, can set the table for everyone.
Right.
And in a game like this, when you're without one of your best floor spacers, you need a guy that's finding the open passing lanes, that's hitting guys on backdoor cuts, getting guys open looks. And so Ja Morant's the key when it comes to the point guard. But getting those quality minutes from Tyus Jones when Ja's off the court, I think that's huge in this game. You have to get open looks. You have to have someone that's smart with the ball in their hands.
I think smart with the ball, hitting the floater, knocking down a 3 or 2.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah, supplementing threes in this game is obviously big with Luke out.
If I had to give you a number off the top of your head, the number of 3-pointers the Grizzlies need to make, no matter how many they shoot, because obviously there's only so many you're going to shoot. They're around the 40 range and what they're taking each night. What number is that? Because you saw they went 9 of 42, but then they won and they went 10 of 14 of 37, I believe, or something like that. Is there a magic number they need to try to get to hit? You think that give them a chance?
I think 11 to 14, you're probably looking really good.
Okay.
Anything under 10, I think you're going to be in trouble. Because anything under 10, that means probably Desmond Bain hit a few, maybe Ja hit a couple, maybe Jaron hit a couple, and that's it. You're not getting it from anywhere else.
Yep.
You hinted at Tyus hitting some threes. That would be huge. Dylan Brooks, I know the shooting's been bad. It's been real bad in this series. But he's going to take the shots.
Yeah.
He's going to take the shots, and, hell, it's a whole lot better if they go in than if they don't.
It is.
I think somewhere between 11 to 14, maybe 11 to 15, and I feel really good about that. Anything under 10, especially if it's like you mentioned, a 9 for 42, a 9 for 25, a 9 for 30. If it's a high number of attempts and a low number of makes, then it's probably not looking good because that means they're settling for shots, they're not getting to the basket, and they're not hitting those shots.
Yeah. Even if they go 9 of 25, let's say, that just means they're not taking enough shots. It means they're trying to do other things, and that's not their style of basketball.
Right.
Their style of basketball is just to let it fly. I think Taylor Jenkins has another word in there somewhere about let something that one fly. But they just need to shoot more, and that's perfect. I just think that this is a game where they have to play with pace, and if you play with pace to play, they're going to play much better, especially early in the game.
100%.
Anything else that you're looking at in this game? Because obviously the matchups, and as we are probably with basketball nerds, we see that as we were talking with Chip Williams last time. It was more of, I felt like I was nerding out the whole time trying to talk more the ins and outs of basketball. Anything else you're looking for? Because I think it's very important for this game. These matchups, these guys, these key players, these X factors are all going to be big.
Overall, comfortability.
Okay.
We haven't seen that for a full game on the road, it feels like.
I like that.
They've had to take some time to settle in. Mm-hmm. Now they've played there multiple times. You feel like they have a feel for it. Desmond Bain said it for the last game, we're the best with our back up against the wall. Prove it. Right. Go in there, feel comfortable, play well from the tip. Not saying you have to go up by 15, 20 early, anything like that, but just play comfortable, play your basketball, be in the game. Don't let the moment rattle you. Don't let the team that you're playing against, the stars that you're playing against, rattle you. Be the team that you've been all season. Be comfortable, be locked in. And that's much better. If they're sporadic in the first quarter or sporadic in the first half, then I think the wheels fall off because they're going to be pressing at that point.
Yep. No, I think that's big because you got to think of, if you're playing within yourself, if Ja is doing the things he normally does, he looks like the better player. He looks like he is comfortable, and he's playing within himself. He's going to take three-point shots. We all know that because they're going to give it to him. But if he can get downhill and kind of create the offense, let everybody feel good.
That's when it opens up.
Yeah, exactly. That's when the entire thing will open up. And that's when Xavier Tillman starts dunking the ball because everybody's over-helping too much.
Yep.
So what else is it in this game? Is there anything else that you're looking for? Because, dude, you're killing it right now. And I'm agreeing with you. I don't know what else to bring back at the moment. Anything else besides anything on this game at all that you're looking at?
Let's see what else. I'm probably come up with something else. Maybe you'll disagree with something I have.
I need to disagree about something.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to say. We've seen ridiculous play from Desmond Bain over the last 2 games.
Yes.
That is amplified in this game with no Luke Kennard. And it's crazy. And I think I saw someone write about this week. It might have been Parker Fleming, but just saying that this is a guy that wasn't on the team a couple months ago, wasn't a factor at all. No one was, and the amount that he's changed this team and what they do on the floor, the spacing that they have, allowing Ja to get downhill, allowing Desmond Bain not to get double teams and to have more open shots on the perimeter. So, like Desmond, this game is a lot going to be on his back because the shooting is going to come from him. He's shown in the last 2 games that he can shoulder that load, obviously with Luke on the court. Now, for him to do it as the primary three-point shooter, he did it all year. He did it all year up until the trade deddline without Luke. So he's got to get back into that rhythm. He's got to be on from the beginning of the game, and to me, that's another huge thing.
Yeah. All right. So with that, I did want to hit on this before we got out of here. Desmond Bain, as we saw last game, he is sweating through his jersey.
Yeah.
Is he possibly at a game where now he's doing so much the last 2 games? Is this a game like maybe his legs just get a little too tired and you start seeing a little bit sloppy basketball to him?
It could be. Okay. And that's always the worry in these situations, right? With the amount of days between games and how much you're playing and how hard you're playing with it being playoff basketball. But to flip that, can we not ask the same question about LeBron James with the foot injury that he's dealing with? We've seen he's slightly declining over this series and hasn't played as well. Really wasn't good in the last game. Mm-hmm. So is that wear and tear adding up?
God, I hope so.
Are all those road trips adding up? Is everything adding up on him because we know how much is expected out of him? He has the crazy 2020 game, the first of his career 2 games ago, and then just didn't play as well. So now coming back from Memphis to LA, that day of travel, another game, another just one day between games, does that fatigue add up for him too? So that always in playoff basketball, we know that's a question. But
yes,
Desmond Bane, perfect point with the way that he's been playing and how hard he's been playing, but also I think it's a very fair point with LeBron James too.
No, I like that because we got to figure out where do their legs get tired? Their legs are going to get tired, and they're already tired. Everybody's hurting. Everybody's obviously having issues, but it's all about who steps up and who plays. All right, last 2 questions, last 2 minutes. First question is, what player do you have stats-wise you think they're going to hit on it tonight? Our 4-leg parlay depends on you. Don't be the last leg that lets us down.
It's gonna be on me. LeBron over 5.5 assists.
Okay.
I like that line. What I just said about him kind of declining a little bit.
Right.
I still think he's LeBron. He's going to be aggressive. Right. He's going to try to score. But I think if they're over helping on him, if they're going hard at LeBron, which we know they're going to, if Hachimura is hitting, AD's obviously going to do his thing down low. If Austin Reeves is hitting shots, if Dennis Schroeder's scoring 12 points like he did in the last game, then I think that LeBron over 5.5 could be a pretty easy hit.
All right, well, you're the only person that's on the Lakers. So we're right. It's okay.
Hey,
I like it.
I was looking for hits.
Diversify.
Not teams. I was just looking at bets I think we're going to hit.
All right, last one. Give us the game prediction. Who's winning and what's the score?
I want to say Lakers so bad just because it's just one of those, those gut feelings. Yeah. But I can't do it. This is like my first time live talking about the Grizzlies as breaking down the game. So I can't go against the Grizzlies. I'm going to go 113-107. Grizzlies win, force a game 7.
Wow. Game 7, Grizzlies win that at home.
Yes, I think if they get it back to the FedEx Forum, I just don't see any way of them losing Game 7 at home because that crowd's going to be absurd,
nuts. All right, well, if you have time, make sure you come out here. We are here out at High Cotton Brewery. We're having a great time. We're having a good night. We're all feeling the brews. They're going good. But make sure that you come out here. We are presented by Streetcars of Memphis. They're doing all the customization. So if you have any customizations you need on your car, whether it is, I'm going to go through them: tires, wheels, lift kits, drop kits, bed liner, LED lights, light bars. I don't know what a pod is. Rock lights, wheel locks, whatever you need, your regular maintenance, you can get it all done at Streetcars of Memphis. But I just want to say thank you to them. Thank you to the people at High Cotton. It's been a great night. It's been so much fun hanging out with all of our people here. They can't really hear us at the moment, but man, they're going crazy. It's gonna be a great night. We need the Grizzlies to win Game 6. My prediction: I think the Grizzlies win 109-105. I think it's gonna be a close game. LeBron chokes.
LeBron
chokes. I like it. He's gonna have 6 assists. So that's all we got. Make sure you come hang out with us. Make sure you stay tuned. Grizzlies 901 podcast. We'll be on the post-game show. We'll be live. It'll be after midnight. I promise you that. But we'll be live here with Nate. So make sure you tune into that. That's all we have. Thank you for hanging out with us. Good night.